In the darkest nights of World War II, high above the burning cities of Europe, bombers roared across the sky. Massive machines carrying young men who knew every mission could be their last. Among them was a 21-year-old British airman named Nicholas Alcemade, a quiet, steady man, a tail gunner, a position so dangerous they called it the suicide seat. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare him for the night he fell 18,000 feet with no parachute and lived. This is the impossible true story of the man who plummeted from the heavens and walked away. It was March 24th, 1944, a freezing, moonlit night. Nicholas Alcemade and his crew of 7 took off in their Lancaster bomber, headed deep into Nazi-controlled Europe. Their target? Berlin. At 21 years old, Alcemade had already survived multiple bombing raids. He knew the drill, the nerves, the cold, the constant threat of flak exploding around them, the silent understanding that at any moment their aircraft could become a fireball. He locked himself into the tail turret, a tiny glass bubble at the rear of the plane, isolated from the rest of the crew, surrounded by nothing but sky, darkness, and enemy fighters. The mission was going smoothly until the return flight. As the bomber crossed through German airspace, Alcemade spotted something, the faint silhouette of a Luftwaffe night fighter. Before he could warn the crew, the enemy aircraft opened fire. Tracer rounds tore into the Lancaster. The engines screamed. Flames erupted across the wings. Smoke filled the fuselage. Alcemade felt the turret shudder violently as the bomber began to spiral. Inside the plane, chaos erupted. The intercom buzzed with panic. Crew members scrambled for parachutes. The heat from the fire grew unbearable. Alcemade tried to rotate his turret to escape into the fuselage, but the mechanism had jammed. The fire was spreading toward him fast. He reached for his parachute and froze. It had been destroyed by the flames. He had 2 choices: burn alive inside the aircraft or jump. A jump from 18,000 feet without a parachute. A death sentence. But in that moment, with the flames licking at his legs, Nicholas Alcemade made his decision. I'd rather fall, he thought, than burn. He kicked open the turret, felt the blast of freezing night air, and threw himself into the darkness. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the wind hit him, a roaring hurricane. He was spinning, tumbling, weightless. The burning bomber disappeared above him. Below him, nothing but blackness. Alcemade later said he felt strangely calm. He accepted that he was going to die. He thought of home, of the girl he loved, of the life he wouldn't live to see. But something else was waiting for him. Below the clouds lay a forest of fir trees covered in deep, thick snow. As he plummeted toward the earth, the trees rose up like dark spears. But instead of killing him, they saved him. The branches slowed his fall, breaking his descent layer by layer, turning a deadly impact into something survivable. Then, silence. Alcemade hit the snow, hard, but alive. You stared at the sky, unable to believe it. He checked his body. Legs, bruised but working. Arms, sore but intact. Spine, unbroken. Skull, untouched. The only injury he found was a twisted knee and some burns from the plane fire. He had fallen 18,000 feet without a parachute and survived. But the story doesn't end there. Alchemade couldn't walk far. He was freezing, exhausted, disoriented. German soldiers eventually found him lying in the snow and took him prisoner. When they searched him, they were confused. No parachute. When he told them he'd fallen from nearly 4 miles up with no chute at all, they didn't believe him. They thought he was lying to cover up a hidden parachute or escape attempt. So, they investigated. They located the wreckage of his bomber. They found the burnt remains of his parachute. And they confirmed that Alchemade's story was absolutely true. A German officer gave him a certificate officially stating that he had survived an unsurvivable fall. Even his enemies were astonished. Alchemade spent the rest of the war as a POW. When the conflict finally ended, he returned to Britain as a living legend. Newspapers couldn't believe it. Scientists couldn't explain it. Airmen were inspired by it. People around the world were stunned by it. A man had fallen 18,000 feet straight down and walked away with nothing more than a sprained leg. After the war, Nicholas Alchemade went on to live a normal, quiet life. He worked in a factory. He told his story only occasionally. He never called himself a hero. He saw it simply as fate or luck beyond human understanding. He passed away in 1987, but his legend remains. To this day, his fall is considered one of the greatest survival feats in human history. A burning bomber, a missing parachute, a deadly fall, and a miracle landing into the snow-covered arms of a silent forest. This is the story of Nicholas Alchemade, the man who fell from the sky and lived to tell the tale.